what's the moment when all this exploded into the mainstream? It was like seeded into our institutions, and then there was a moment when it all became mainstream. And I don't know if Bruce Jenner is the definite starting point, but I do think that was a pivotal moment. It was a pivotal moment, not just because now the media is celebrating this, but also because conservatives, had an opportunity right then and there to take a stand against this, to recognize it for what it is, for the threat that it is, and to take a firm stand. And I think so many conservatives didn't, because they just imagine that this is either they don't want to get in trouble, be called a transphobe, or they just thought it's sort of a sideshow. And so many conservatives basically ignored it.
I don't think anybody realized it was going to get this big.
Yeah, I think a lot of people didn't, but I mean, it should have been more clear. I guess woulda, coulda, shoulda, but it should have been more clear, because they're waging an assault on like basic fundamental reality. And so it goes way beyond. This is not just about gender. This is about reality. That's why in the film, every conversation I had with someone on that side of it, every single one devolved into this, well, what is truth? And who's truth? And how do you know what truth is? And, so I'm sitting in the same room as someone, but I can't get them to acknowledge that we exist in the same reality. We can share a room, but we don't share a reality. There was in the film, there's one woman that we talked to on the street, and she was giving me this, we all have our own truth thing. And then I said, well, what if it's my truth that you don't exist? And she said, well, then I don't exist. Like, she was willing to erase her own existence if that's how I perceive it. It's totally incoherent.
I found out about the reaction that people have to this and how strongly they're committed to this when there was a transgender fighter that was hiding the fact, was hiding the fact that they were biologically male and competed twice as a woman, beating the fuck out of these women. And I was like, this is crazy. Like, you can't, and trying to say that it was just a medical procedure. And when I thought rightly got angry at it, I saw all these articles written, all these pieces about how transphobic my position was and what a horrible person I was. Like, we're literally talking about someone not telling someone. I said that, look, if you are a transgender athlete and you tell someone, hey, I was biologically male, but now identify as a female, would you like to fight? And that person still says yes, all in. Go ahead, have fun. Just like I think you should be able to ride bulls and go dirt biking and skydiving, do whatever wild, dangerous shit you want to do. But to hide the fact that you're biologically male and you were a male for 30 plus years, that was madness to me. But they had already drawn this line in the sand. And I remember arguing with someone on Twitter about it when this woman said she was always a woman. I go, even when this person impregnated a woman and had a child with them, she's like, even then. Like, even then. She stuck her penis in a woman, got her pregnant. That's a science. Became a father.
Yeah.
And even that, during that act, she was a woman. Like, what is a woman? What the fuck are we talking about?
What they're really saying is that this person, they're talking about self-perception. Like, this person perceived himself that way. But self-perception is not always reality. This is like, of course, we all in most other contexts, we recognize that a person can have a self-perception that just is not true. It's just inaccurate. I mean, you could walk down the street in any city and find drug-addled homeless people talking to themselves. And if you were to ask them about themselves, they're going to say a lot of things that just don't line up with reality. And in every other context, we're allowed to acknowledge that, even in medical context. I mean, someone who has body dysmorphia in the form of anorexia, a young woman goes to the doctor and she's 90 pounds and she says, I feel like I'm a 300-pound, fat ass.
Yeah.
The doctor's not going to affirm that and say, well, if that's how you feel, it's how you. Fatness is on a spectrum. I mean, they're not going to give her diet pills. They're going to.
But why gender? Like, why is gender this ideological battleground? Like, how the fuck did that become this thing where it's encouraging like this cult-like mentality where you cannot, even if things are clearly odd, clearly don't make any sense. They don't fit with logic or reality. you have to adhere to whatever this ideology is promoting.
I think it's. I mean, at a most basic level, I think that this is like I said, this is an attack on truth, and this is, if you want to, if your project is relativism, and you want to get rid of objective ideas of truth, what are you going to go after? I mean, if you can go after someone's really fundamental understanding of themselves, it's not just that they're attacking reality. It's like they're attacking the reality of the self. And so they're depriving a person of the ability to understand themselves. And once you do that, if you're successful on a societal level, then it's sort of like the sky's the limit. You can go anywhere from there, I think.
So do you think this is like a conscious decision, or do you think this is just something that people have adopted because it seems to be the ideology du jour?
I think it depends on who you're talking about. I mean, at an institutional level, I think a lot of it is conscious. I think some of the people that I talked to in the film, I think that they know that this doesn't make any sense and that it's wrong. And I think because they have to know it. If you're a doctor, you do have a basic understanding of male and female. You must. You wouldn't have been able to get through medical school if you don't. So I think that for them, it's intensely ideological. It's also profit driven. They're making a lot of money off of this. If a 6-year-old boy says, "I feel like I'm a girl," and the response to the boy is, "No, you're a boy, and that's what you are, and that's okay," and he'll get over it, because it's just a phase, and he'll live a normal life, and that's fine. But there's no money in that. Whereas if you encourage the delusion, now that boy individually is worth millions of dollars down the line to therapists and doctors and endocrinologists and surgeons and everything. So I think it's profit driven. And then there's also just a lot of actual confusion out there. People don't really understand what's going on. And then there's cowardice too. People are just terrified. I've certainly seen a lot of that. People just are scared shitless about being accused of bigotry, losing their social media platforms, losing their jobs, losing their friends. I get this question all the time everywhere I go. Well, how do I deal with this at my job? Because if I reveal that I understand reality at my job, I'll lose my job or I'll lose my family. This is what people are dealing with.
And it is what people are dealing with. That really is what's happening, which is one of the more confusing aspects of this, is that there's no logical discussion about this. It's just you are either on the good side or you're a bigot, and that's the binary.
Yeah, and that's because they know that they can't. The people that are pushing this stuff know that they can't defend it. They can't defend it intellectually. They also feel like they shouldn't have to.